Welcome back to Mountain Views. I'm talking with Austen Diamond, Thatcher, and Jeanette Moses. They all work in local periodicals here in Utah, and they're all free. You might have heard of them: City Weekly, In Magazine, and SLUG Magazine. Now, Austen, you and I were talking about some of your favorite bands and new albums coming out from locals. Now, The Moth and the Flame is one of your favorites, and we're going to hear a little clip from them. Are they from Utah County as well?
Right, so we have another Provo band that released the CD with a really interesting art aesthetic on 11/11/11.
Okay.
And so this is their first single, Goodbye.
Okay, let's check it out. Provo band, The Moth and the Flame. You know, that reminds me of a mix between The National, which is one of my favorite kind of new bands, and David Matthews a little bit.
Yeah, they also have a very much of a Radiohead sort of vibe.
Kind of, yeah.
Maybe not so much on that song, but yeah.
Yeah, a little bit. And then you just have this cool cover from
so to bring
a guy I know. Yeah.
So to bring it back to what we were talking about earlier, more eclectic sounds, this is More, an EP by Stephen Chai and the No Nation Orchestra, and just really beautiful art by Sri Whipple. And this kind of leads to the next thing we're going to talk about, which is the City Weekly Music Awards.
Yes.
The No Nation Orchestra have confirmed to play our annual local-centric music festival that'll take place the first 2 weeks of February. And we have 25 bands competing for an award. Last year, King Nico won. And we're doing things a little bit different this year. Instead of having a third week where the top 3 bands duke it out, at the end of the 2 weeks, the top vote getter is the winner, which will be announced in our February 16th issue. Okay. So it really counts, the one time that they play. Okay. And the contenders will be up on City Weekly or on your
website.
We'll announce that soon, as soon as all the bands are confirmed.
Okay, excellent. Well, thank you. And King Nico's going to come on the show pretty soon here in the next few weeks. Yeah. Also,
they're mastering their single. That's releasing after this.
Got it.
Tonight.
And Austen, thank you for coming on. And so, any highlights of 2011, or you've actually been talking to some local bands about their favorites as well?
Yeah, you know, and I definitely have some 2011 highlights, but I think what I'd like to do is just speak on behalf of some of the local bands. That I put it out there that I'd be joining you today, and I asked them who they would suggest audience members to take a listen to. So as much as I hate to use notes on the TV,
I used to do it all the time when I was a guest on the show. So yeah.
So some of the bands that our local musicians recommended are Opal Hill Drive. You might be familiar with them.
I know them. Sure, yeah, great band. Kind of bluesy.
Yeah, they put on a really good live show, and I like that their sound is something that, despite your musical taste, you can find something to love about them. They have boat shows in state and out of state throughout the spring and summer seasons, so you can check them out. Another band that was listed is The Last Look. Allison Martin heads that band up, or she's a part of that band, and then she heads up Bell Rave. And then Blinded by Truth, they wanted us to list them as well, another band called Ghost Town. Another band that I like as a hip-hop group is The Greenhouse. And they've just recently put out some new tracks. And
cool. I have never heard of them. I've heard all the other bands that you've mentioned. And Ghost Town's been around forever too. They're a great country rock band, but not the Greenhouse. But
yeah, I would definitely suggest checking them out. Like most bands, you can find them on Facebook. They have they're on SoundCloud and Reverb Nation, so you can go check out some of their tracks. I mean, Salt Lake has such a great hip hop scene. They're one of many wonderful hip hop artists here.
Absolutely. I recently did an article about 6 months ago about our growing hip hop scene as well in the City Weekly.
It's so big. It never ceases to amaze me how much talent we have here and how many, how motivated these artists are to just kind of break out of Salt Lake, and I'm proud lot of those
Cool.
hip hop guys here.
Got it. And I apologize, we are running out of time, so let's move on to Jeanette from SLUG Magazine, Salt Lake Underground. We just had your boss on a few weeks ago, Angela Brown with Gavin Sheehan, who's one of your newer co-workers. And you have some favorite national acts from last year.
Every year in our December issue, SLUG Magazine, we highlight the top 5 albums from every single one of our contributors, photographers, music writers, designers, even our delivery drivers. And so I wanted to kind of share my top 5, who a lot of them are musicians that I ended up seeing in the last year. At the top of the list, I loved the Black Lips' new album, Arabia Mountain.
I agree, it's so amazing.
And it was such a great live show when they came through Salt Lake.
Yes, I'm definitely on the Black Lips bandwagon, yeah.
Also, Bass Drum of Death, another band that played Salt Lake, I think last August, and played the Urban Lounge. It was a pretty small show as far as turnout went. I believe Spell Talk was the only opener for them.
They're great. We're going to try to get them back on the show soon, too. And they were a City Weekly Music Award winner 2 years ago. That is sorry, I don't want to make this the Austen show. You're all special tonight. But yeah, the Spell Talk is great, and they're one of my favorite local bands as well.
And then some other of the albums that made my top 5 list, I had The Kills, who haven't been to Salt Lake, unfortunately. Would love to see them here, but had a chance to check them out in Austin last year. And it was before their Blood Pressures album actually came out, so it was cool to kind of get a preview of that. The Dum Dum Girls, another great band who hasn't made it through Salt Lake recently.
Okay.
But
because was it last year?
Yeah, they were an opener at Twilight Concert Series.
I saw them then.
But they're a band to see in a bar.
Okay.
They're not that awesome on an outdoor stage. They're definitely better in their element. I think like playing Urban Lounge would be amazing.
Okay. I trust you. That would be great. Yeah.
And then my final band on my list of top 5 albums was Spindrift, who they once again played the Garage last November. Wild show. I believe Spell Talk was the opener for that as well. As far as some local bands that I'm kind of looking forward to seeing what they do in 2012, I'm definitely keeping an eye on Dark Seas. They are kind of a band that was born out of being friends with Max Payne and the Groovies and Spell Talk, and just that kind of rock and roll scene. And I think I
did see them at Gallivan last summer. Yeah,
they could do some interesting
live
stuff
show
this year. I think so.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for coming on. And what is SLUG's website?
We are slugmag.com, SLUGMAG, and we actually next Friday have our SLUG Localized coming up at Urban Lounge. We do it once a month. It's only $5 to get in, and it's going to be a really great lineup. I'm really excited for it. It's Vina Cava, ABK Band, and then openers the Filth Lords. So it should be a lot of fun.
Awesome. And Autumn, I'm sorry to be confused. I know that your magazine has just changed names recently.
You know, we're all confused.
Yes.
Portia, it's completely fine.
So currently, what is your website now?
Our website is nowsaltlake.com/nightlife, and the publication is now in Salt Lake. So we're still in magazine. Same 3 people writing for it, just a different name now. So
okay.
Now
and
Salt Lake.
Austin, I know this, but give people your City Weekly website.
cityweekly.net, and you can follow us, the City Weekly Music Awards at #CWMA.
Okay, thanks again, you guys. Weather is coming up next, and more music from Uncle Scam on Mountain Views. Stay tuned.